Welcome. Today we will be working with masking fluid, which is a love-hate thing. Some artists, watercolor artists, love it. Others cannot stand to use it. But if you are interested in learning how to use it properly to get good results, that's what we're here for today. So first I'm going to go over what I use and why I choose these items that I use and what they're used for. And then we'll get right into doing some masking, and I'll show you how I apply masking fluid. So let me get you down to my tabletop. Okay, so here's a New York City painting. Here is a black and white photo, which is what I usually use, okay, to do my masking. And here's my materials. I prefer the PBO drawing gum. This is just, it's a nice fluid, masking fluid. It's not chunky, it's not thick. It moves just like paint. It's very thin and fluid. Their new one has this dark blue corner on the label. That's they've gone through a few changes in their formulations, and some have been awful and some have been successful. This one I've found very successful. It does not stain my paper. I found out I experimented with some aqua board the other day, and it does stain aqua board. So I would do a little experiment on whatever substrate you're using first, and make sure that it won't do that. But this is Fabriano Artistico paper, 140 cold press, and it does not stain at all. So, and it goes on like a dream, and it comes off in nice big pieces. Okay, so anyway, I use that, and I always keep an extra cap from my last bottle. And I use that as my cup to put my masking fluid in. So that way I don't have to leave this uncovered, which we all know can end up in a catastrophe. So I always have some brush cleaner handy. This is just the dry cake brush cleaner. And I just, when I'm done, I swoosh my brush around in that, rinse it, and that keeps my masking brushes going for a while. I use a natural rubber pickup. This is a new one. I don't have an old one. Oh yeah, here's an old one sitting out. Okay. When they come, they're nice and bright like this, okay? But then after you use them for a while, they get dirty, and eventually the corners get rubbed down and everything. So, but they're fairly inexpensive, and they're really nice for picking up your masking fluid off your paper, okay? Then I use a variety of brushes, including a toothbrush, to put masking fluid. I use this if I want to spatter masking fluid. These I use for more traditional brush application, and of course a nice big tub of water. So that is my materials for masking. So now I'm just going to pour a little bit into my cap. Okay, tightly cap the bottle. Okay, I'm going to zoom in a little bit so you can all see what I'm doing here. Okay. So we'll start down here in the straight. Now normally I would start in the upper left corner because I'm right-handed and I don't want to drag my hand through masking fluid, but I'm not masking this whole thing for you. So, I mean, obviously if you look at the darks in this photograph, you know, what I'm going to be applying paint to first will be all these dark areas. So a lot of this is going to get masking fluid. So we don't have time for that today. I mean, I don't want to keep you guys here, you know, for the rest of the week. So anyway, okay. First thing's important. I have always tried to never be like an always or never kind of watercolor instructor. So, but there's a couple things with masking fluid that are always and never. Okay, always make sure your paper is bone dry when you are applying masking fluid. Make sure it is bone dry when you try to take off masking fluid. This is a necessity. I'm telling you, this is how people rip paper. It's how they pull up watercolor paint underneath. It's a complete myriad of problems. So bone dry paper, keep that in your head at all times, okay? The other thing is make sure you get some water in your brushes before you start picking up masking fluid. I don't use the dish detergent and all that other things. Some people do, and they, you know, it works for them, and that's fine. I've just never have needed it. I'll show you what I mean as I start to apply here. So, okay, this picture, I actually have some things here that are not here because I'm going to make this a rainy street just because it's more interesting. So I actually have some reflections of these tail lights. So I'm going to start with masking those. Now I pick up quite a bit onto my brush. This is not a thin application. On these little spots, I actually wanted to have a little raise to it, a little bubble to it. It'll make it a lot easier to take off later. Okay. There we go. See, as soon as it starts to feel thin, I go and I grab some more. Now, as I was saying, my rule of thumb to keep my brushes going for a while is for every approximately 6 inches of masking that I've applied, I give a good scrub to my brush, which I'll be doing shortly here after these. Okay, so there we go. Okay, and then this underneath part is the black part of the shadow under the car, but this is a little light coming from under the car. And then once we get up here, this is the back bumper of the car. So what I'll do is I'll use this brush and I'm basically pushing a bead of masking fluid. That's the best way to describe it. I'm not brushing this on like a thin coat of paint. I'm actually letting this bead run across. I'm just using my brush to push it along. So it's fairly heavy. Because people always ask, like, how can you take your masking off in one piece like that? That's the secret. Right there. Okay, so come down here. So I would keep going through this and do the entire car, except for the back window. Because as you can see, the back window is... oops, let me get on here so you can see it. Off goes. It's flying away. The back window is very dark, so I would not paint that. Or the shadow under the car. Okay. But I would keep applying. Now that's about 6 inches that I've done now. So I take my brush, I put it in the bottom of my bucket so it's actually rubbing against the bottom of the bucket. You can hear it even squeaking in there. Okay. Then I rub it really hard on a terry cloth towel and get it all nice and clean again. Okay. And this is fairly clean. You know, it's soft again, so I can actually keep brushing. Okay. So anyway, so I would keep moving and do around the entire car. The toothbrush I would use around these, because this is like the bright hot spots of the reflections, but there'd be sparkle in the pavement around those that would also have some of the red and orange. So you take a toothbrush again, some water first, tap it off. Okay, and I just take the first little bunch of bristles. These new brushes are really easy because they actually give you this little front patch of bristles, and that's all that really goes into the masking fluid. So I put that in there, tap a couple times, and then I just very carefully just flick those first few, and I'm just putting some little spots around where I painted some of that masking. Okay. This brush is almost too new. It's not giving me big spots. It's giving me just teeny tiny little spots because there's some bigger ones. Okay. It's too new. Yeah, it's great if you use an electric toothbrush because your dentist will give you these little brushes to use for painting. Okay, so let me zoom in there so you can see this. Okay, so you can see all the little speckles around. So this would be the hot spots of my tail lights in the wet pavement, and this would be the sparkle, you know, to show that it's a wet pavement. So anyway, I would go through and I would mask everything here that is lighter than this dark. Okay, so this will be my target, and I'm going to look at that, mask everything that's lighter than that, which, like I said, it's going to be a long masking project. But once it's masked, you can do some really fun things, and that's what masking is for. It really frees up your painting because once you know you have everything masked and it's secure, in other words, the paper will still be white, you can really use big brushes and paint more freely with your colors, with everything. So that's the benefits of masking. If you're trying to paint around all these little things, first of all, you can never paint around the sparkle, but if you were to paint around all these little things, you would have all this, what's the word I'm looking for? All these marks within your watercolor painting. So that's not good. You know, if you want nice, big, smooth, colorful washes, you know, that you can use big brushes like this, you know, and just load this with paint and just, you know, go through and paint. This is what masking fluid was made for. So that is my little thing on masking. So anyway, again, if you find these little videos interesting or helpful, please subscribe to my page, my YouTube channel, I should say, not page. I'm still used to social media. And if you like this video, please hit the like button. Okay, so everybody have a great day. Try masking fluid on a little painting, something that's not really important to you first. See what you think about it. And remember, the only true rule, dry paper. Going on, coming off. Always dry. Okay, make sure both sides of the paper are dry. Okay, that's it. So everybody have a great day. See you soon. Bye-bye.